You are welcome to the Premier Top 4 Podcast. Today, we are here to analyze the Chelsea versus Arsenal match, and we will sprinkle in the um, Manchester United versus Leicester match as well. So, if you are scrolling, don't change the dial, don't move up. Just make sure that you are listening to the end. We are going to analyze, banter, and make sure you have a good time. So, yeah, just continue watching us and also give us your comments, subscribe as well. So the first one that we want to talk about is Chelsea versus Arsenal, which just ended. Chelsea versus Arsenal. We There was a lot that was riding on this match, so nobody wanted to lose because the two teams were on the same point. The two teams were all looking to get to the third position, and it was a lot. So the two teams really came at it, but it was not meant to be. So it was a draw 1-1. But let's first of all look at the lineup that the coaches came up with. Ateta tried to be smart in trying to tell everyone that, oh, my players are not ready, they are not fit, and all that, just trying to, outsmart our coach, but it didn't work anyway. But then before the match, I think even before like almost like 4 hours before the match or this morning, nobody knew that Odegaard was going to start or not. But if you look at the lineup, he started Odegaard, he started Rice, these two players that we thought. So essentially, if you are an Arsenal fan, I don't have to tell you your lineup because you know this is your actual 11, the main 11 that normally Arsenal comes up with. Is this their A team, the team that, according to them, can win them the league? So there's no excuse for tonight. There's no excuse. So this was the main team that they came up with. And then Chelsea, this a few changes in the 11. I'm just talking about 11 so that I go to the coach. Today he's being a coach here because he's not an Arsenal fan, he's not a Chelsea fan. So he's going to talk as a coach. Yes. So as I said, Arsenal came with their main 11. So Havertz up top, Saka, Martinelli, Rice, Odegaard, Partey, and then on and the right back is what White, left back Timber, in the middle Saliba, Gabriel, and then Raya. So this is the main 11, the strongest 11 possible for Arsenal. And then Chelsea made some tweaks. The Enzo Maresca decided to drop
Gusto.
James for Cucurella, which was very very good because Cucurella was the man of the match. So we will come back to that. Cucurella, and then so he went for the back four of Cucurella, the centre back partnership of
For
Kowo and Fofana, and
yeah.
then the right back of Gusto and Sanchez in goal, and in the midfield pivot. That is where it is looking like this is what he's going to go with in the big games. He went for Lavia Caicedo, and then up in the number 10 position, Palmer, on then the left wing Neto, on the right wing Madueke, and then the striker, which is what Jackson. So, coach, looking at the two lineup, even before they started the match, what was your reaction when you saw these two lineups?
Yeah, I would say before the game, it looked like Arsenal's midfield would have been a write up if you remember during the midweek preview you had with Football Matters. I'd mentioned that Arsenal needs to sort the midfield, which was one of the reasons why they've not been performing well. And clearly, you see the coming back of Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard solidify at least the position of the midfield better than their last two fixtures. So for Chelsea, you don't want to like tweak the winning team or a stable team that you are building. So Cucurella has been a debate for his featuring in games rather than either Gusto or with Reese. And today, for good purposes, Cucurella has started, having that battle with Bukayo Saka, which they had like a good feast in the first half, in the first 25 minutes. So with Chelsea's lineup, I would say I wouldn't say that was a bit predicted, but it was like the lineup everybody expected. And earlier you said Arsenal will not have reasons for them, but even as a coach, the performance is also on the back that Declan Rice it's a bit short of match time, missing about 2 games, and Martin Odegaard coming to captain the team from a long-term injury. So good lineup for the start of the game, yeah, for both teams.
Okay. Okay. So looking at those two, the first um 45 minutes, it was a very tactical game. You could see that Arsenal didn't come to play their usual, these days we've known them for packing the bus and all that. I think in a way, he really wanted to prove to Maresca that he has also learned from Pep. Because this season most people have seen us now packing the bars, defending, making sure that they are compact and all that. But this time around, you could see that the two teams wanted to win the game. Nobody came to draw. It just happened that they drew. But in the first half, it was very cagey, both tactical plays and all that. So in the first half, in like 1 minute, coach, analyze the first half for us.
Yeah, it was a bit very tight and cagey. The first 20 minutes, for it looked like they were still trying to size themselves up. There were a lot of loss of possession at the midfield, trying to advance to the final third. So both teams still trying to size, and there were some feisty battles. Cucurella and Saka had their time. Gusto and Declan Rice, they had like because Gusto was coming to the midfield, they had like their own mix there. So the first half was just cagey. There were not a lot of opportunities, to spark the game alive. But that was both teams trying to, be careful in the approach. However, Arsenal looked in the first half looked like the team that was really pushing to make something happen. With the like of Kai Havertz trying to prove to Chelsea that he's not a write-off, and though the offside goal was there, but it was a bit tight, and well, it's good that they showed up in the second half, but the first half was just very average, I would say.
Okay, so in the first half, I think in the first 15 minutes, Palmer forced a save from Raya. How do you see the sequence and how that happened?
Yeah, that was a good drive. The new role for Palmer playing as a 10, or I would say as an 8 behind the striker, has been very, very helpful. And shooting from outside the box needs a lot of technique. And the goalkeeper in his own position has to watch this ball, so that, because it looked like it was coming to his position, but it drifted a bit into his right hand, and he had to dip to make that save, because it was dropping and it was about 2 foot away from his goal. So that was a good move, and a good shot from Cole Palmer.
Okay, so there's one tactical tweak from Ateta that I saw, that he made sure that Partey was man marking Palmer. How did you see that?
Yeah,
Because in the entire match, he was following him virtually everywhere. How did you see that?
clearly in football, you have to come out with a strategy. And in Chelsea today, the most deadly forward player is Cole Palmer. We all know that, because he can give assists and he can score goals. And I would say it's not like a follow through, but I would say this is what happened between Manchester United and Chelsea that made Cole Palmer a bit quiet, with Casemiro or Ugarte trying to follow him. But this time, the Arsenal team has dedicated parties to say, you know what, today you are not going to play football. You're going to play with Palmer. Wherever he is, just make sure you are there. And, that kills the potency. And that is something for Maresca to look out for, because if every opponent adopt this strategy, then it might be a problem. They need to come up with some other creative players that can do the damage, even when Kopama looks like it's not functioning, or probably take him back to the right wing and put somebody there, so that the pressure can leave the middle and create space for other things to happen there.
Because for me, I've been thinking about that a lot. Trying to move Palmer to the right wing and making sure that Gusto or whoever plays the right back does the overlapping. So, because if Palmer is having 1v1, which we don't want him to be having, because we want him to be ending up, scoring and all
Yeah.
that. But if he's having the 1v1 and then there's this overlapping, he can give the ball to the person and then move into the half
into the
space,
center. Yeah.
and then but it looks like our coach is real bent on making sure that he has these two wingers standing there waiting and making sure they are opening up spaces for the others to follow. But it looks like there's a bit of a balance issue for Chelsea now because Gusto playing in the underlapping position, as we talked in the what do we call the preview for this match, he ends up in positions that he's supposed to score, but he is a guy who has never scored. He has never ever in his adult playing career, he has never scored. So why do you put this guy in an attacking phase in a number 10 position in the half series, which I don't blame him that he's not performing to the level that we expect, even though tonight was better. But I don't blame him for that. But then you could see that there's a chance in the first half that he had where Neto dribbled White and then gave him a cross and he was just supposed to head the ball into the net. And he couldn't. And then the pundits were like, this is not someone who is hungry for a goal. All the three pundits, they were all like, this is not someone who is hungry for a goal. He could have even used his face to hit the ball. He could have done anything possible to make sure he scores. And if you are not hungry for, if it was someone like Haaland or anybody that, even Palmer or all those, like even Madueke, everybody that's willing or always ready to score a goal, Chelsea could have been up by then. So how do you see Enzo Maresca trying to find a balance for the team where you have five up front, five in defense? But it's been a difficulty for us. How do you see? What do you think? Do you have any solution? What do you think?
Yeah, so in my earlier analysis, I just thought about having Palmer go take the game to the right wing, which you've also supported, would the first thing. Then another what can happen too is you talked about Gusto with the playing phase. So in transition, every coach knows what they want a player to do. So for example, when I'm coaching my boys, there are some players that that on goal they would not perform as well as the other. So the communication is when you get to the transition, try and look for a player to do a cutback, a pull out, or some square play. Then that is their role because if they score well, it will be a few time of for chance. And just to also say something about Gusto. For those of us that have played football, scoring takes confidence. You see, there are some players that that they will never hit a shot from long range if it's not in the 18 yard and all that stuff. But for Chelsea right now, like we've agreed, if this man-to-man marking with Palmer continues, it may cause a problem. So what would happen is, I would say, instead of like a strict formation with Palmer playing behind the striker, I should be given a free role. Since he has good protection with Calcedo and Lavia, a few times there should be a switch between Madueke, who would go maybe into the left wing to use his full left foot. Neto or Sancho or whoever those guys play, they are good playing centrally, running centrally. So this way, you clear the midfield of any defensive midfielder trying to walk Mark Palmer away from the game. Because sometimes in football too, the player without the ball is more useful as the player with the ball and creating a dummy or creating spaces for you. So Palmer should be given like I would say a free role, like what the Kakas used to play in the past. Run around, create space for other players to enter and create the mix and destabilize the formation for the opposition's defense. So I would say that's like the next approach that they can try within the game in each matches where Palmer looks like he's marked out. As for Gusto, um, that's why they are young players. The coach too can also get maybe a one-on-one training or mind goal scoring practice with him on how to try and score goals if he is in good position. So that's what they are paid for basically.
And also on the same topic, it looks like I'm really worried about that topic because all Chelsea fans who are very tactically astute knows that the issue or the next phase of this team is the balance. The attack has been proven that in situations where the coach decides that I don't care about conceding, it is a small team anyway. Let's go and have fun. We will score. We will give you 4, 5, but we will definitely concede. But he's trying in these big games to find a balance between the attack and the defense. And then I think the next phase could be getting what's the name, James ready to be able to play that role. Because I can promise you, if it was James that was getting those opportunities in those 10 positions, because he knows how to strike the ball. He looks like he's the a fit 100% James is the perfect man for that role. He knows how to strike the ball. He knows how to dribble. He knows how to cross. He's like the perfect man, bombing up and down. And that is exactly what Reece James will want to be doing. So is it a case of where he's nurturing James, making Gusto play there so that the whole team knows that it is the right back that is going to be there? So that when James is 100% fit, because tonight, when James came in the dying minute of the game, you could see that he also went for the same role. He was bombing up and down in that 10 position. Is it something that he's trying to do?
So while you were speaking, I know as a Chelsea fan, there's this confidence you have on players that you think that when they come into the game, they are going to deliver. A few times it doesn't work out that way. And I'll explain why. So if you look at Reece James in the last 2 seasons, um, he has not really played that 10 role. So even when we think Gusto is struggling, Reece James has never really been coming into the midfield to play the 10 role. What Reece James has done over the time is, he's good at the right flank. He comes to the right flank. Instead of go round down to the flank, he's inverted to the edge of the 18 where he can take a strike. And we both agree that he is good striking the ball. Or he can invert, go where he can drop a short pass for a striker to score. Now, with the 10, they need to be some level of creativity. But I'll tell you what this inversion does for teams with this pattern. When you crowd the midfield, when you lose the ball, it's difficult for the opposition to attack with short passes. So that is why when it looks like you're inverted, apart from in transition to score, you're also thinking defensively, because if a Gusto or a Latvia loses the ball, you see that there's the inverted triangle with Casado trying to come to help with the two midfielders just at the 80, center cycle waiting for a transition. So the only way to beat that block will be a long ball over the top. So sometimes it's beyond just creativity, but also thinking defensive mindedness. So this has to work out. But with Reece James, he has more experience. So probably however you look at it, he may perform better than Gusto, but that might not be the solution in terms of transition and scoring in the final third, because the players really need to understand what is happening when they get there.
Okay, so let's go straight to the Martinelli chance in the first half. Our defense once again and Sanchez once again. How do you allow a striker to score you on the first ball as a keeper? I think that is goalkeeping 101. Even if the person will score, not your first ball, you cover there and make sure that whatever he does, you don't care whether he's passed to someone to score. Well, he was rather anticipating that he was going to pass, so he's trying to block the passing lane instead of protecting his first ball. What do you see? How did you see that goal, coach?
Okay, so we are talking about the Martinelli goal, like in the second half, yeah? Okay, so when you say goalkeeping 101, in football, it's like we always say, you never know what is in the mind of the player. So you don't know what's in the mind of the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper doesn't know what is in the mind of the player. So goalkeeping 101, yeah, you always protect your side post. Fantastic. However, you also have to be careful as to if there's going to be a square ball. So as a goalkeeper, you believe that you have secured the post, the side post, but you're anticipating a set by a square play or a pullback. However, you also have to look at talented players. The likes of Marshall, Anthony Marshall, before he left Man U, and some players have scored goalkeepers from the um, corner post by either chipping and doing all sort of skills. So it's like we say back in Africa where we play the small post. Even when a big guy is there, somehow there's this good guy that can find the ball through somewhere. So I would say it was just one of those days where the goalkeeper did not have his chance, and Martinelli did very well to hit the ball hard enough to pass through the goalkeeper, basically.
Yeah, I understand it's from a neutral person who doesn't watch Sanchez every week like us. That is why we
But
are
he had
saying that
he had some
this
good saves
guy.
today, you see. So this is the thing.
He did. Look, that's one thing about Sanchez that people don't really know. If you are someone who is, let's say, watching only highlights of Sanchez, you might think he's one of the best keepers in the world. I'm telling you. But this guy has high and a low in one person. Like, I don't know if you get it. Like, one person who can give you the best save in the world, and one person who can literally make you lose a game, can give the ball to the opponent to score. That's where he is. He's just so unpredictable. And every time he gets the ball at the back, my heart keeps skipping. Because I'm like, God, let me just skip. I'm just afraid. I don't want him to just pass to the opponent. And the coach consistently is saying that he is his number one. So we can't say anything about it. But I don't want a situation where the same thing that happened last season, where our coach decided that he was his number one and realized that nah, this guy can't be my number one. And then we literally went for a keeper that we bought for like 60 million
Mm.
from America that nobody knew about. We pushed him there to be the number one until the end of the season, and we've shipped him to France. That's how bad he is. If you don't know, like as a neutral person, this is how bad he is. But for some reason, Maresca keeps playing him. So let's move on. It's like we are going to rant every week about him, but nothing is going to change. So
Unfortunately,
let's
sorry
move
for you
on.
guys.
Okay, so the next thing that happened is that Chelsea started after the goal. Chelsea like was giving a reality check that actually, if you don't take care these guys, so our coach immediately came up with two changes. He brought in Enzo Fernandez and he brought in Mikhailo Mudrik. For me, I would have started Mudrik, bench Madueke because
Madueke, yeah.
after his after his three goals, he's not done anything. He's always lost in the game. It is sad, but I don't know why he keeps starting him. And so he brought Mudrik and brought in Enzo Fernandez, and that is another dilemma for Chelsea fans. When Enzo Fernandez is on the pitch, we score goals, but his defensive work is a problem because immediately he came on, whenever we were able to recycle the ball, get it back, we immediately move forward. He is like the link between the attack and the defense. He's so good with that. He's able to, and then he gave the pass to
Neto.
Neto to score. Someone would say that it's not a very good assist, but then someone could have just side pass or maybe gone back, and we could have not ended up in the goal. But that's one thing that we know. Because even against Noah, that everybody knows that it's not a good team. He gave three assists from a DM position. And then first half he went out. That is what Enzo Fernandez bring on the board. How do we balance the situation where we have Enzo Fernandez, we have Lavia, we have Caicedo all on the pitch, but having a good balance? Coach, how can we do that?
So, in football, sometimes you need to make some players unhappy, and I'll tell you why. Enzo, honestly, like you said, you are a Chelsea fan. He's not good defensively, so he's good with distribution. He's very technical. He can see the spaces. But as a holding midfielder, there's a problem. So any day you want, and you remember at the beginning of the program, we have been talking about the solution for Palmer. And now that you mentioned, it looks like Enzo is that missing piece. But what would happen is Casedo or Latvia, if four of them have to play together, would have to sit permanently. So Casedo also loves to attack, though he's good going back. But Casedo, it looks like we may have to sacrifice Latvia in some games for Enzo to start so that there's support for Palmer. In the event that Palmer has the one-to-one marking, then Enzo can do the damage, at least in distribution. While Casedo would have to sacrifice to sit in front of the defense. Because if the two of them want to be creative, then that's where Latvia come in for Caicedo, because where Caicedo is going, Latvia sits and protects the defense, or the other way around. But you cannot count on Enzo to sit and protect the defense. Then it might not be able to cover. And if you also look at the goal coming from where Enzo contributed, I was telling you before the show that and you've also mentioned Arsenal trying to pack the bus. So it looked like, oh, we've scored. Maybe we can keep the game till the end. They were just trying to manage. And, there was a high line zonal marking, the diagonal pass from Enzo into Neto, and Neto saw the space. This was in between 10 players. So that's practically the whole Arsenal team. And he took the strike, and that was a goal. So Enzo is good, and in this game, his contribution has been on the back that Arsenal was also trying to build the high block to do a zonal defense, so it wasn't profitable.
Okay, so on this, Neto was so good. He created from the left that the big chance that he created where Gusto couldn't capitalize. And also, so as I was saying, when Neto was on the left, he's so good on both flanks. That one I won't take it away from him. When he's on the left flank, because he is left-footed, he becomes a creative outlet for Chelsea.
Mm,
He's not able to come inside and
yeah.
score and all that. So he drifts on the byline and tries to cross. And he has assisted already from the left this season. And tonight too, he created a big chance from the left. But we don't have a lot of goal scorers in this team. If in a situation where Palmer is marked out, as it happened today, if you have someone else who is also a goal threat and not just creating chances, it will be so special because Neto is like times two of a player he is when he's on the right. But for some reason, Enzo Maresca is obsessed with Madueke. He loves the guy. He plays him every match, every match. But immediately he moved Neto to the right. He came in, he created a lot of chances and also came inside, tried a lot of shots, and he scored one of them. If you were the coach, are you going to bench Madueke, put your best player in his best position? Because for now in attack, he the second best player is Neto. Are you going to do that to make sure that even though Mudrik is not ready yet, you would rather play him there than playing one of your best players out of position? What do you think?
It's very, it's very difficult to make these decisions. Even as a neutral and as a coach, when we manage players, the truth is what you the fans see is different from what we the coach see in training. That's one. Then every player comes with their style, and the style that they come with would now depend on what you want to use them to achieve. So I give an example. As a neutral, I'm not a fan of Noni Madueke. However, I can tell you that in the team, he's one of the best dribblers. So when it comes to one, he can find his way. But I know that in his finishing is a bit stingy because there are times when he needs to pass, he wants to score. And the time when he has to score, he wants to pass. But cutting through the defense for Madueke is a piece. It's like it's easy. But Neto is the old German style. They can run their way through defenses, run into space and shoot. So and in football these days, when you are on the left foot, you can the likes of Saka and every other left footer. You want to come into the game and use your left foot to strike. So clearly, Neto would be more creative coming from the right as well. But what do you do when you have players who are both left-footed? Because in the start, if you look at the lineup, you have both left-footers in the right and on the left. If you had like a Sancho on the right, who's a right footer, and a Noni who they can now swap, then it's different. But when you have two footers, a few times you cannot satisfy every player. However, you also have to look at we have also tried to debate why Palmer should go back to the right. So if Palmer goes to the right, then maybe Enzo. But we have to also look at the creativity and at the end of the day, like I say, what the coach want to achieve. Because I am not Maresca, we are not, we are just fans, trying to see what they are trying to do. But Maresca sees them in training and knows, okay, this is what Madueke will bring for this game. Oh, he's not bringing it in the game. I think in the second half, we'll get him off, bring and do some tweak. So I would say he has gone for Noni majorly because of his dribbling skills, who can find his way around defenders. Well, like you said, you might not have a lot of scorers, so that's a bit tricky. But well, as good as Maresca, I know all this is still trial. If we continue this way, by December, January, then he will be able to arrange the team such a way that he now knows who to use in certain games. That's my view.
Okay. Okay. So in the end there was a matchup that everyone was waiting for. Saka versus Kukurea. Saka versus Kuku. Because they've met a lot in the World Cup in Euros, sorry, in the Euros even last season where Arsenal gave us 5-0 and all that. But this time around, Kukurea was on top to the extent that he even injured Saka and Saka was taken out of the game. And he, on top of it, this is called the cherry on top. He will emerge as the man of the match. How did you see Kuku's performance today,
Yeah.
tonight?
We said it from the beginning of the game. The matchup was already clear for everybody to see, and it looked like whether there was a mental challenge already for Cucurella. Trying to prove his point that if anything would happen, Saka would not find his way. And whatever Arsenal brought on, he took Saka out of the game because Cucurella was very offensive. So Saka had to follow Cucurella to his side of the game to also defend. So, which is something that usually does not happen with Arsenal, especially when they are in possession. But this time, Chelsea had the front foot, and with Cucurella on the ball, always trying to advance, Saka had to go back and do some marking. So it was actually a first challenge. So, but on the day, Cucurella came up on top, not just because of the one-to-one, 1v1 battle, but also with his contribution to the game in that inversion that we've been talking about, joining the midfield, supporting Palmer, and making sure that that place is actually very tight. Even before the goal, you will also see where Cucurella was in that line with Neto. They were all in with Enzo, sorry, in that line before the pass came and he went to Neto. So that high press was also he was very, very instrumental to it. So it was Cucurella's day, and he's also trying to seal his place in the team ahead of Gusto and Reese in the coach's mind. So good game.
Okay, so now as we are speaking, this is the last thing before we go to our predict and win. I think most people are waiting for this part, our predict and win session. Um, the last thing now, after 10 games, Chelsea are in the third position, Arsenal are in fourth, Liverpool are first, and Man City are second. So I'm looking at the ambitions of the two teams. One wants to get the top four, and one wants to win the league. Let's look at Chelsea's ambition, coach, and then go to Arsenal's ambition. Talk about the teams' ambitions for the season, and let's see if the two teams' ambitions are achievable for them.
Well, Liverpool is gradually coasting away. So it will take, but the league is still a long way to go. 38 games is just 11, and there are so many upsets to come. And we've seen how depressing Manchester City has been performing, and their fans are not happy. So it could be anybody. Liverpool, all for the table to change is for Liverpool and Man City to lose two more games, and for Arsenal and Chelsea to win two more games if they both are consistent. So that alone can just put some pressure. But for Chelsea, even the senior pundits, Gary Neville during overlap, and everybody has said that the top four, Chelsea looks like the ambition for entering the top four looks more like a reality than for Arsenal winning the league. And we always know how Arsenal has a way of bottling the league because statement games such as today is where they should put their foot. If you cannot beat, back in the days of Fergie, we always used to say that the difference of winning the league is not just about winning the smaller teams; it's the opportunity to beat the people who are above you. So today Chelsea, they've not been able to beat Chelsea. They've not succeeded with Manchester City. They've not succeeded with Liverpool. Then we begin to wonder at what point would you want to win the league? So with the question you've asked, Chelsea looks more like the team to achieve their ambitions being in the top four than Arsenal winning the league. That's my position.
Okay, so coach, go to the YouTube post. So I told everyone that this time around our prediction, you're going to take the winner from the YouTube post. That's in the preview match for this one. So coach, go into that and let's see. I've seen someone that has the prediction right, but we have to also check that the conditions are that the predict and win. The conditions are if you predict and you are right, that's the first step. The second step is that have you subscribed to our channel? The third step is that did you follow us on Twitter? There's a lot of work, but there's no free money on earth. Did you follow us on Twitter? Did you like? Did you retweet? All these are factors that we are going to look at. So the first step, I've seen someone that predicted 1-1 very early, and then you also tell me who you see because the one I saw is the 4 hours ago, which I think might be the winner. But then I'm going to check on Twitter to see if this person is following us or not. So I think we might have a winner, but then I'm not declaring this person a winner because this time around it's a little complicated than we made it last week. We want to know if this same person is also on Twitter and has followed us. So if you are the one with at PHAVSY, if you are the one, reach out to us because we have other people who also predicted right. So that if you didn't follow the rules, we will just give it to that person. So we are not really declaring you the winner. Just make sure you DM us on Twitter and then we are going to talk about it and make sure that we give it to the right person. So as you know, whenever we put a preview match here and we ask for predictions, it comes with something. So make sure that you comment in it and also tell us. So we are going to go for international break, but then during the international break, we are going to bring content, a lot of content within that period. So don't always don't miss any episode that we put across. We are going to make sure that we bring in pundits from elsewhere as we did for that preview match as well. So thanks for always being there and watching us. Thanks for subscribing and commenting as well. We will see you the same time next week. Bye bye.